we're back here with the Silverado, the 04, the good old GMT-800. We haven't done a whole lot with this truck because it's been running great, honestly, except for recently. I've lost the gauge cluster. So one big problem about these GMT-800s was the circuit boards on the back of these instrument clusters. What would happen is you'd get a short after a while, and then the whole gauge cluster wouldn't work like this. So you put the key in, turn it on, you get nothing, you know, except for the old trusty check engine light, which is just the knock sensor. So yeah, it just stays like this the entire time while it's running. It doesn't affect how it runs great, but it doesn't count on the mileage, which I guess, you know, can or cannot be good. But you can't see how fast you're going. Any of the other instrumentation doesn't work. Hey, but the radio and the climate control works. So there's a couple options you have here. One is send it off to a company. I'm going to send it off to a company called GaugeWorks. But what they'll do is they'll rebuild the cluster and also add the transmission temp gauge right there, which everything is already pre-wired for this, just they didn't put it on the half tons. They're going to program it for the transmission temp and just rebuild the whole insides, as you know, as well as the circuit board, and convert the whole thing to LED. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get this cluster out. Now it's pretty easy to do because we have to ship it off to them. We're just going to pull this bezel. So what you'll do is just kind of pull on it. You know, it has clips behind there, and I think we can do it by hand. So let's see. And what you'll also want to do, put the gear selector in the lowest position and tilt the wheel all the way down. And there you go. Made by Barb in 2003. All right, now the only thing left to do is remove 4 little 7mm bolts. So one at each corner here, and this thing will come right out. Pulls out just like that, and you just rotate it up kind of from the bottom, turn it around right here. There's a clip on the top right here, and then one on the bottom. You just squeeze it together and kind of just work it back and forth and pull it out. Now you have your cluster removed and it's ready to be sent off. And also one thing to note, since I had this problem, I've had a pretty bad parasitic drain issue only when the cluster is not working. Now this has been an intermittent issue. It's not all the time that the cluster doesn't work. It's just mainly during the cold, really. So it has something to do with temperature, and I'm not really sure what. But whenever the cluster does not work, I have a bad drawdown on the battery. I have to jump start it almost every time. Stick around, and whenever I get this back, we'll put it back in and see the difference. All right, so we have the gauge cluster back, and I have to say I'm very impressed with GaugeWorks. I sent this off right after I filmed the first part of this video, which you just saw. And I got it back within 3 days, and that's with shipping. He's out of Katy, Texas, just outside of Houston. So it's pretty close for me because we're just right outside of Austin. So it didn't have very far to go. Let's go ahead and take a look at this cluster. All right, so right off the bat, you can see right there, transmission temperature gauge. I don't know why, but that's super cool to me. Just to be able to see that, especially since I have the good old half-ton transmission in this. I forget what it is. I'll flash it up on the screen. 460 LE or something like that. Anyway, just pulling the boat there. It's a little bit better peace of mind, especially in the summertime when it's 108 degrees. Just see how hot the transmission temperature is getting. Anyway, everything else looks the same, but let's go ahead and turn it on. And it works. The whole thing lights up just like it should. We'll go ahead and start it. We're in the middle of this winter storm right here in Texas. It was 17 last night, and I think it's supposed to be like 19 tonight. So anyway, this is going to be a cold start, but it should start up really easy. we've warmed up. It's 32 degrees now. All right, so yeah, everything works like it should. Super impressed. So this isn't the first time that I started it. I got this back maybe 2-3 weeks ago and haven't got around to making the video till now. But I did want to drive it and test it out first, make sure everything operated like it should, and it does. I did notice that transmission temperature takes a long time to come up, even when it's pretty warm. So that's good. But it does work like it should, and so does everything else. So it is very nice to have a cluster that works. And even in this super cold weather, because anytime it got cold before, the dash would shut down and quit working, and then of course my battery would die because I had the parasitic draw. That has not happened since I had it rebuilt, and we've gotten down to well, the coldest we've gotten I think so far is 16 or 17 degrees over the past couple days, and it didn't miss a beat. So I no longer have the draw. I can let the truck sit here for weeks on end, and the battery didn't drain down. And the cluster is consistently working. It hadn't missed a beat, like I said, and no problems whatsoever. So I'm super impressed with GageWorks. Everything looks about the same right here. Even in the daylight, though, we'll see if we can capture it. The LED backlighting. It is so much brighter than it was before. Before, you could turn the lights on in the daytime. You really couldn't hardly notice that anything lit up on the dash. Now it just really lights up. So all in all, I highly recommend GageWorks. If you're having this problem with your any kind of GMT-800 that you have, send it off to him. He can rebuild this cluster. He can actually make the cluster, the overlay, to any kind of overlay you want. He has all sorts of ones, you know, ones that look like they came from a Corvette to custom ones. The bottom readout, when you turn the truck on to where it's, I think on this one it says driver 1, you can make it say whatever you want. So check them out. GageWorks solved my problem, and pretty much the only problem I was having with this truck, besides the NOx sensor. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. See you.